This is the tale of Resolution 174 to put a moratorium on smart meters. Early this morning, this was late in the agenda, so after 3 days of debate on different resolutions, it became clear early today that we simply weren't going to get to the smart meter motion. So Judith Cullington, who's a city councillor from Colwood, put forward a motion to bring it out, to pull it out so that we could debate it earlier on. The standing motion with us just holding our cards wasn't clear, so we actually went to the clickers, we went to a digital vote, and it lost 50.01 to 49.99. And so literally one 1,000th of a vote ended up being the deciding factor of this. It wasn't 1%, it was 1/1,000th of a vote to not pull it out. And so we went through the rest of the motions, and as we got closer to the end of the agenda, many of us started to worry, so I actually stood up and made a point of order. I made a point of order that we should add time to the entire resolution session so we could get through the final 16 resolutions that remained, including our 174. It was called that point of order was not debatable. I went to move to overrule the chair, and it was called that was not an option at the time as well. And so the chair called for the rest of the block, the 16 motions, to be called as a block, and asked if any of the motions would anyone wants to pull any of the motions. I went up and once again made a brief argument to pull 174 as a matter of great public interest, and that time the vote was, I'd say, about 70–30% to actually pull the motion. So we knew that finally this would make it to the floor and would get to be debated. The rest of the motions were then passed as endorsed by, or not endorsed by the Resolutions Committee, and as the closing motion of this entire session, we got to debate 174. Judith Cullington, who's the Colwood City Councillor who introduced the motion, spoke to the motion, spoke passionately about the fact that this is about personal rights, that she's not a scientist and doesn't claim to understand all the science behind this, but she spoke about the need for people to be able to make these personal choices themselves. There were many people willing to speak on the pro side. I was standing at the next mic over, but the chair, seeing that there were no cons, called the question, and I'm so happy to announce that by a margin of, I'd say, 70% to 30%, this motion passed! And so for me, this is a matter of so many things. It's a matter of process. It's a matter of the government completely ignoring, and we saw by the statements of Minister Rich Coleman, he said, it doesn't matter what people think, we're going to do this anyway. Well, Minister Rich Coleman, I warn you right now that you better listen to these people and you better listen to the residents of BC, because they're the ones who put you in power and they're the ones who can take you out. Ultimately, this comes down to very basic principles for me. I asked myself if the city of Victoria was in charge of power distribution and we went to put in smart meters and we faced this kind of opposition, would we go ahead and do it no matter what? And of course, there was the answer to that is a resounding no. The city of Victoria wouldn't do it. No municipality in BC would do this in light of this kind of opposition. So why would we allow a Crown Corporation to do this in our own residents, to our own residents, in our municipalities? Ultimately, it comes down to one basic principle. People should have a right to decide what technology they're exposed to within the privacy of their own home. And so I just want everyone here to repeat this. BC Hydro, you've heard today that UBCM doesn't consent to your process. BC Hydro, I don't consent. Say it with me. 1, 2, 3. I don't consent. Say it again.
I don't consent.
One more time.
I don't consent.
Well, thank you so much. I want to thank all the people here who took so much time to talk to the councillors who were in there, to make sure everyone had the proper information. I want to make sure that you guys are recognized, because this wasn't something that was done by city councils, it wasn't something that was done by municipal authorities, and it's certainly not something that was done by with provincial consent. This is a movement by the people, and all that I'm doing, all that Councillor Judith Cullington and all the people who voted in favor of this moratorium did today is listen to you folks. So thank you for speaking so loudly and letting us know how you feel about the installation of these smart meters. And let's all keep fighting this until we have an opt-out option, until the government reverses this, until we finally have a moratorium on this absolutely unfair process, on this potentially dangerous technology, on really what is an absolutely poor plan by the provincial government. Thank you so much for coming out today. Absolutely. My name is Philippe Lucas. I'm a Victoria City Councillor. I'm a CRD Director, and I passed the motion in the City of Victoria for a moratorium on the installation of smart meters until we have an opt-out option that includes a hardwired option for those who might be exposed to these potentially dangerous EMRs. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Philip.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you so much.
It was very dramatic and very frustrating.
Very dramatic and all the things that you did. That's fantastic.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, but we're doing this already and we're doing this very well. Or thank you very much. We have no intention of listening to you and we're not going to do this. So be aware that this probably will not change the provincial position. But what it does do is it gives them, this was a litmus test. It says that BC municipalities are behind you, that we want this moratorium, and we want the provincial government right now to look at this issue and to change their direction. No, absolutely. So keep up the pressure. This is just part of the fight, but this is a reason for press releases for you guys to go out and talk to your neighbors to say that UBCM supports your position.
We already got about a quarter to a third of our city having the smart meters already, but a lot of citizens are opposing, and we have set October 11th as the date to go to City Council to request for a moratorium in our city.
October 11th?
October 11th, 7 p.m. at Richmond City Council. If you have time, or to bring a friend or family to come support.
So I have one question for Philippe. Should we still be presenting to mayors and councils, Philippe? Should we still be going as delegations and talking about the concern? Should we be doing that?
Absolutely. To those who have not passed a moratorium yet, absolutely. I would try and get a mass appeal. I think that right now this gives you a lot of strength to go to those councils who haven't considered the issue or who might not have decided not to support a moratorium, to say that this is the will of the Union of British Columbia municipalities, that we need to get these other municipalities on side and we need to increase the pressure on the province to stop this.
And I think also to raise awareness to the public. A lot of the residents I spoke to do not know about the smart meters, and those who've heard about it do not know it's wireless. Yeah. So it's a good way to
There's
just
a lot of
let
education
the
to be done,
community to know it's an issue.
Unfortunately, I've got to be on my way. Thank you all so much.
Philippe, one $10,000 question. What would you say to the statement that the challenge I see as a voter is the NDP is not going to be of any more help than the Liberals, and the Green Party won't win? Well,
I suggest that the NDP critic on this, John Horgan, has been very supportive, I think, in this issue. And so I think the NDP are absolutely on side and are going to be fighting hard against the provincial government right now to try and ensure that there is a reversal on this. Ultimately, though, I think it's going to come down to one simple issue. I think we're going to need a class action suit to actually stop this and to stop this moving forward.
Class action, because Adrian Dix is my MLA and he is on board one way or the other on this.
Well, that's a concern. You got to increase the pressure, because I know that John Horgan came and spoke at an anti-Wi-Fi rally at the legislature just a couple of weeks ago, and so certainly he's on side. So talk to your MLAs. You guys have started with your municipal councillors. Talk to your MLAs and talk to the opposition critics. Get them on side as well, because they can make a lot of noise as well. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much.
Hey, guys. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.